The day my wife suspended me, I was standing on the roof of a burning daycare with our 8-year-old daughter in my arms. Below me, Fire Chief Dana Mercer grabbed a radio and shouted, "Ethan, get Mason first. That's a direct order." Mason Calloway was trapped in the adjacent classroom. So was my daughter, Lucy. I chose Lucy. 2 hours later, while smoke still clung to my turnout coat and my daughter slept in a hospital bed with an oxygen mask on, my wife signed the paper placing me on immediate administrative leave for insubordination during a live rescue incident. That was the official phrase. The real reason was simpler. I saved our daughter before her ex-boyfriend's son. My name is Ethan Mercer. I'd spent 17 years with Madison Fire Department, the last 6 as a rescue lieutenant assigned to Station 4's heavy rescue company. I knew how to read a collapse pattern, how to find a victim in black smoke by touch alone, and how to keep my people alive when everyone else on scene was screaming. I also knew my wife better than most people thought I did. Dana was smart, driven, and frighteningly calm when an incident went sideways. She had worked her way from paramedic to battalion chief to the city's first female fire chief, and I had been there for all of it, moving apartments on my off days, taking extra shifts when she was in command school, reviewing budget decks at midnight while she practiced for city council hearings. I had never resented her success. I resented what it slowly taught her. When enough people salute your decisions, you start confusing authority with wisdom. And when one person at home still tells you no, eventually that no starts to sound like betrayal. 3 years before the fire, Dana reconnected with Ryan Calloway. Ryan had been her serious boyfriend before me, a former college linebacker with a permanent salesman's smile and a habit of reappearing wherever cameras were pointed. By the time he came back into our orbit, he was directing community partnerships for a nonprofit that ran youth programs around the city. Widowed 2 years earlier, he was raising his 10-year-old son, Mason. I wanted to be decent about it. Ryan had lost his wife. Mason had lost his mother. Lucy liked the after-school STEM camp Ryan's nonprofit hosted. Dana said they were just rebuilding an old friendship. Then Ryan started calling her directly instead of going through department outreach staff. Then he started showing up at department family events. Then his nonprofit got a city-supported fire safety contract pushed through by Dana's office. Nothing illegal. Nothing dramatic. Just one small exception after another, all justified as good for the community. When I questioned the optics, Dana's answer was always the same. "You're reading too much into it." Maybe I was. But I also noticed that when Ryan asked, Dana found time. When I objected, she found a lecture. The fire started on a Thursday afternoon in late May at Lakeview Children's Center on the west side. It wasn't even supposed to be a major incident. The first dispatch came in as a commercial alarm with possible smoke in the laundry room. Engine 6 and Truck 3 were assigned. Then a second caller reported flames in the rear utility corridor. Then a third caller screamed that children were still inside. My rescue company was added while we were clearing a previous medical assist. As soon as I heard the address, my stomach dropped. Lakeview hosted Ryan's nonprofit camp on Thursdays. Lucy was there. I was already pulling on my mask before our driver turned the corner. By the time we arrived, the center's east wing was venting heavy smoke, and staff were dragging children across the parking lot wrapped in blankets and beach towels. Engine 6 had stretched an 1.75-inch line through the front entrance. Truck 3 was forcing side doors. A propane-fed kitchen fire had rolled into the attic through a chase wall, and the heat signature above the classroom wing looked ugly. I jumped down and caught one of the daycare supervisors by the shoulders. "My daughter, Lucy Mercer. Where is she?" The woman was crying so hard she could barely speak. They were in classroom C for robotics, Lucy, Mason, and a few others. We got 4 out. 2 were still in the back when the ceiling came down. 2. I didn't need her to say the names. Dana's command SUV arrived 30 seconds later. She stepped out already speaking into the radio, face sharp, hair pulled back, command vest half-zipped. No one wore authority like Dana. Usually I admired it. That day, I saw something else in her expression when she heard the names. Not just fear. Calculation. She looked at me once, then at Ryan, who had come flying across the lot in slacks and a polo shirt, wild-eyed and coughing. "Mason's in there," he shouted. "My son's in there." "Our daughter too," I said. Dana grabbed the command board from her aide. "Engine 6, give me conditions." Heavy fire in rear corridor, the captain answered. Partial collapse between B and C rooms. Search incomplete. I stepped closer. Rescue 4 is making entry. Dana turned to me. No. Wait for Truck 8's backup crew. By then we lose the room. You're emotionally compromised. So are you. That should have shut me down. Instead, Dana did what she always did when she felt challenged in front of subordinates. She made it formal. Lieutenant Mercer, you will stage until I assign you. I looked past her at the east side windows. Smoke was thickening from gray to black. The fire had eaten through more attic than Engine 6 first realized. The children in Classroom C had minutes, maybe less. Ryan grabbed Dana's arm. Mason knows the back reading corner. He hides there when he's scared. Lucy hid there too. Because Ryan's camp used the same room every week. I said, I'm going. Dana's jaw hardened. If you go in without assignment, that's insubordination. I started for the side entrance anyway. My firefighter paramedic, Tessa Huang, was already beside me, pulling the thermal imager from the compartment. Miguel Alvarez, my senior rescue specialist, had the irons and search rope. Nobody asked permission. They knew what the window looked like. They knew what time meant. Behind us, Dana came over the radio. Rescue 4, stand down. This is the chief. I keyed my mic once. Negative. Active child rescue. Then we went through the side hallway. Inside, it was hot enough to bite through gear. The corridor to Classroom C had partially collapsed, just like Engine 6 reported. Masonry dust and burning insulation choked the air. We pushed under a hanging section of ceiling, advanced 20 feet, then had to duck around a toppled shelf unit blocking most of the classroom door. Children's drawings curled black on the walls. I found the first empty backpack by touch. Pink. Unicorn patch. Lucy's. I shouted through the mask. Search right. Reading corner. Tessa swept the room with the TIC. 2 low heat signatures behind an overturned table near the rear windows. We moved fast. The first child was Lucy. She was curled on her side, arms over her head, barely conscious, soot streaked across her face. The second was Mason, 2 feet away, wedged under part of a collapsed bookcase. Both were breathing. Neither could wait. I made a decision in less than 1 second. Tessa, stabilize Mason. Miguel, free that shelf. I've got Lucy. No hesitation. No moral debate. No weighing optics. My daughter's airway was shallow, and she was closest to total heat involvement. I scooped her up and started out. That was when Dana got visual from the roof access side and screamed over the radio. Ethan, get Mason first. That's a direct order. I kept moving. Not because I didn't hear her. Because any father who would step over his own child in that moment had no business wearing a badge or a wedding ring. By the time I reached the exterior ladder position, Lucy was limp in my arms but still breathing. I passed her to the medic crew and turned back immediately. Dana was waiting at the base of the ladder. You disobeyed me, she said. Our daughter was dying. Mason was trapped. And my crew was already on him. Ryan was behind her, white-faced and trembling. Where's Mason? Tessa and Miguel are bringing him. As if on cue, they emerged with Mason on a backboard 20 seconds later, smoke-blackened but conscious enough to cry for his father. Ryan ran toward him. Dana ran too. Not to Lucy. To Ryan and Mason. I stood there staring at my wife while a paramedic cut open our daughter's shirt for monitoring leads. That image will stay with me longer than the suspension letter. Not because Dana failed to care whether Lucy lived. She did. But in the split second when she had to move without thinking, she moved toward them first. The fire was knocked down within half an hour. No children died. A kitchen subcontractor's faulty propane connector became the preliminary cause. By rights, the rest of the day should have been paperwork, debrief, and a quiet ride home with gratitude. Instead, Dana made the debrief a performance. At the mobile command post, in front of 2 battalion chiefs, a union rep, my crew, and half a dozen firefighters still drenched in sweat, she said, Lieutenant Mercer ignored a direct command from the incident commander during a live operation. I took off my helmet and set it on the table. I executed a viable rescue based on visible victim condition. You broke command. You tried to prioritize a child because of who his father is. Every head around the table lifted. Dana's face went cold. Watch yourself. Why? Because the truth sounds ugly in public? Ryan, who should not have been anywhere near command review, was standing 10 feet away. That alone told me what kind of day this was becoming. Dana said, "You are off duty until I decide next steps. I'm going to the hospital." "Then go. But as of now, you're relieved." Tessa stepped forward. "Chief, with respect," both children came out because Lieutenant Mercer made the right call. Dana didn't even look at her. "This is not your discussion, Firefighter Huang." That was another line she crossed without noticing. Good chiefs listen when good firefighters speak. By the time I reached St. Mary's Pediatric ER, Lucy was awake, hoarse, and furious that the nurses wouldn't let her eat ice chips fast enough. She had smoke inhalation, a mild concussion from the fall, and a small burn on her forearm. She was going to be okay. I kissed her forehead and nearly came apart for the first time all day. "Daddy," she whispered through the oxygen line, "Mom mad at you?" That was the question, wasn't it? Not, "Did you save me?" Not, "Are we going home?" Just the thing she had already seen written across our faces. "Your mom's stressed," I said. Lucy nodded like a kid who already knew when adults were lying kindly. An hour later, Dana came into the room with a brown interoffice envelope in her hand. Not flowers. Not food. Not an apology. A document. She waited until Lucy was asleep again before handing it to me. Notice of administrative leave pending internal review. Grounds: failure to obey lawful command, breach of incident command discipline, and conduct creating operational risk. I looked up. "You brought this to our daughter's hospital room?" "I needed it served today." I laughed once because otherwise I might have thrown the paper back at her. "You suspended me for saving Lucy." "I suspended you for disobeying command in front of an entire scene." "You mean in front of Ryan?" "This is not about Ryan. Everything lately is about Ryan." Dana's expression hardened. "Do not do this here." I held up the letter. "You already did it here." She lowered her voice. "You embarrassed me on my fire ground." There it was. Not concern for protocol. Not a safety issue. Embarrassment. I asked quietly, "If I'd brought Mason out first and Lucy died, would that have protected your authority?" For the first time all day, Dana had no answer. She looked toward the bed, toward our daughter's sleeping face, and then away. "That's not fair," she said. "No," I said. "Locking a father out of the only right choice he had would have been unfair. I just refused to do it. I signed for the notice because refusing would change nothing." Then I folded it once and put it in my pocket. Dana stood there like she expected me to argue louder, accuse her of more, maybe give her something she could call unstable. I did not. 17 years in the department had taught me the difference between outrage and evidence. If she wanted to make this official, then official was exactly how I'd answer. Because while Dana was serving suspension papers, Tessa had already texted me something from the scene I couldn't stop thinking about. "Lieutenant, dispatch audio and command logs got archived. You may want copies. Something about the timeline feels wrong." I touched the paper in my pocket and looked at my sleeping daughter. By then I understood two things clearly. My marriage was in deeper trouble than I had admitted. And Dana Mercer had made one mistake bigger than suspending me. She turned the worst day of our daughter's life into a record. That meant the truth could be pulled, timestamp by people who cared less about her pride than she did. At 6:40 the next morning, I stopped being Dana Mercer's husband long enough to start thinking like a firefighter under investigation. That distinction saved me. Anger wanted me to call her. Pride wanted me to walk into headquarters and demand she explain, in front of everyone, why she had ordered me to pass over our daughter for Ryan Calloway's son. Experience told me to do something less satisfying. Preserve the record. The union representative assigned to my case was Captain Joel Brenner, a 23-year department veteran who had survived 3 chiefs, 2 city managers, and enough internal investigations to distrust every sentence beginning with, "This should be straightforward." We met in a diner near Station 4. He arrived with a legal pad, black coffee, and no sympathy in his face. That was exactly what I needed. "Start at dispatch," he said. I told him everything. The initial alarm. The upgrade. Learning Lucy and Mason were trapped. Dana ordering Rescue 4 to stage. My decision to enter. Lucy's location. Mason's location. Tessa and Miguel remaining with Mason while I carried Lucy out. Dana's radio order to get Mason first. The suspension. Joel wrote without interrupting. When I finished, he asked the first useful question. Did you abandon Mason? No. Was a rescuer assigned to him? 2. Was his condition worse than Lucy's? Not from what I saw. Can you prove that? Tessa had the thermal imager. EMS documented both patients. Good. He underlined something. Next. Did the chief know where both victims were when she gave the order? I don't know. Then don't say she did. I know what I heard. That's what we use. He leaned back. Ethan, this is going to be ugly because she's your wife. Soon to be a problem in itself. He gave me a look but did not ask. This department has policies for conflicts of interest. She should not be running the disciplinary review involving her spouse. She already signed the suspension. Administrative leave is temporary. Final discipline is another matter. She can still shape the investigation. Not if I can help it. Joel slid a form across the table. Formal union request for preservation and disclosure of all incident records. Dispatch audio. Command channel audio. Tactical channel audio. Computer-aided dispatch timestamps. Incident command worksheets. Accountability board photographs. Body camera footage from city fire investigators. Drone thermal footage. EMS patient care timestamps. Personnel assignments. Radio ID logs. Written statements. And any electronic communication between Dana's command staff and Ryan Calloway during the incident. I looked up. Ryan? He was a civilian on an active fire ground. He runs a city partner nonprofit. He still doesn't get command privileges. I signed. Joel took the form. Do not contact witnesses. I won't. Do not text Tessa asking what she remembers. She already messaged me. Save it. Don't continue. Understood. Do not post. I'm not 16. You'd be amazed. Then he pointed at me with his pen. And do not make this about adultery. I haven't accused her of adultery. Keep it that way unless you have evidence and it becomes relevant. This is about the rescue. Exactly. That became our strategy. No marriage accusations. No revenge. No Ryan unless his involvement directly affected command decisions. Only the fire ground. By noon, the city did something Dana apparently did not expect. Deputy City Manager for Public Safety Marisol Vega removed the disciplinary review from the fire chief's office. The reason was obvious enough that I almost laughed when Joel read the notice. Potential conflict involving immediate family relationship between subject employee and department head. Dana would remain a witness. She would not control the investigation. An outside investigator from the city's Office of Professional Standards would lead it, assisted by a retired fire chief from Aurora named Thomas Keene. That changed everything. At 1:15, Dana called me. I let it ring. She called again. Then texted. Did you ask the city manager to take this away from me? I replied once. The union filed the standard conflict request. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Returned. You could have talked to me first. I stared at the message. The irony was almost impressive. She had suspended me in our daughter's hospital room. Now process felt unfair because it no longer belonged to her. I did not answer. The first evidence package arrived the next afternoon. Joel and I reviewed it with Union Counsel, Sandra Mills. The dispatch timeline was simple. 3:16 and 42 seconds p.m., initial commercial alarm. 3 hours 18 minutes and 3 seconds, report of visible flame. 3 hours 19 minutes and 27 seconds, report of children unaccounted for. 3 hours 22 minutes and 11 seconds, rescue 4 added. 3 hours 25 minutes and 48 seconds, we arrived. 3 hours 26 minutes and 21 seconds, daycare supervisor identified Lucy Mercer and Mason Calloway as missing. 3 hours 27 minutes and 5 seconds, Dana established command. 3 hours 27 minutes and 44 seconds, I requested assignment to East Wing search. 3 hours 27 minutes and 51 seconds, Dana ordered Rescue 4 to stage. Sandra paused the audio. Why? Joel shrugged. Could be waiting for backup. That's defensible, I said. Sandra looked at me. You're helping her case. I'm describing it accurately. Good. We continued. 3 hours 28 minutes and 10 seconds, Engine 6 reported deteriorating conditions and possible survivable space in Classroom C. 3 hours 28 minutes and 24 seconds, I notified command we were making entry for confirmed child rescue. 3 hours 28 minutes and 31 seconds, Dana ordered us to stand down. 3 hours 28 minutes and 40 seconds, my response, negative. Active child rescue. Then the tactical audio from inside. My breathing. Miguel calling wall orientation. Tessa reporting 2 heat signatures. Then, 2 victims located. 1 free, 1 pinned. That was Tessa. At 3 hours 31 minutes and 12 seconds, my voice. I've got first victim. Tessa, stay on second. Miguel, lift. Then Dana. Her voice was sharp enough to cut through static. Ethan, get Mason first. That's a direct order. Sandra stopped the recording. She looked at me. Did she know which child you had? I never identified Lucy by radio. Did anyone? We checked. No. The daycare supervisor had identified both names near command, but tactical traffic only called them Victim 1 and Victim 2. That mattered. Because Dana's order was not based on reported medical condition. It was based on identity. Play the next 30 seconds, Joel said. The audio resumed. Me. Negative. First victim is free and compromised. Second has 2 rescuers. Continuing egress. Dana. Lieutenant Mercer, reverse and recover Mason. I heard my own breathing. Then. Unable. Committed to removal. 9 seconds later, Tessa transmitted. Second victim freed. Beginning egress. Sandra stopped the audio again. So when she ordered you to reverse, Mason already had 2 firefighters actively freeing him. Yes. And your victim was already in your arms. Yes. She wanted you to turn around with a child in your arms? That's what it sounds like. Joel's expression hardened. That isn't command discipline. That's operational nonsense. Sandra raised a hand. Careful. We need Keen to reach that conclusion. She was right. The EMS records were next. Lucy reached the medic unit at 3 hours 32 minutes and 18 seconds. Oxygen saturation, 81%. Altered mental status. Significant soot around nose and mouth. Mason reached the second medic unit 46 seconds later. Oxygen saturation, 90%. Conscious. Minor crush injury to left leg. Smoke inhalation. Both serious. Lucy Moore immediately compromised. I sat back. Joel said nothing. He did not need to. Then Sandra opened the drone thermal footage. A city emergency management drone had arrived before us because it was already operating nearby. At 3:30, the classroom roof temperature began spiking. At 3 hours 32 minutes and 41 seconds, less than 30 seconds after Mason exited, a significant section of the rear ceiling collapsed into the area where both children had been found. Nobody spoke for several seconds. If we had waited for truck 8, both children might have died. If I had carried Lucy back deeper into the room after Dana ordered me to switch victims, I might have lost time we did not have. Sandra finally said. This is stronger than I expected. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt sick. Because the record did not merely support me. It showed how close Dana's order came to making the situation worse. Then Joel opened the incident command worksheet. Dana had written one note beside the missing victim section. Priority, Mason C, rear reading area. Lucy's name appeared beneath it. No priority mark. I stared. Maybe she wrote Mason first because Ryan gave location information. Sandra nodded. Possible. Again, no exaggeration. Then we found the command aide's handwritten notes. At 3:27, Ryan approached command. The aide wrote. Callaway states Mason likely rear reading corner. Requests Chief prioritize rear search. At 3:28. Chief directs rescue 4 hold for truck 8. Mercer objects. At 3:29. Callaway asks Chief, please don't let Ethan choose Lucy just because she's his. My hands tightened. Joel noticed. Stay with me. I kept reading. The next line. Chief, I won't. Sandra exhaled slowly. That's a problem. Is the aide reliable? 28 years in service, Joel said. Battalion aide for 4 chiefs. Then Keen will interview him. I stood and walked to the window. For 2 days, I had tried to leave space for another explanation. Maybe Dana believed Mason was in worse danger. Maybe she thought his location made him easier to remove first. Maybe she was making a tactical decision that sounded personal only because all of us were emotionally compromised. That note narrowed the possibilities. Ryan told her explicitly not to let me choose my daughter. Dana answered him. Then she ordered me to retrieve Mason first. Sandra closed the file. We still do not know whether that exchange caused the order. I turned. It happened less than a minute before. I know. But proximity is evidence, not proof of motive. She was right. I hated that she was right. Joel checked his phone. There's more. What? The city just issued a preservation notice for Chief's department phone and command tablet. Why? Keene found messages during the incident. My stomach tightened. Between Dana and Ryan? We don't know yet. We knew by 5. Dana used 2 devices that afternoon. The command radio system. And her department-issued phone. At 3:24, before we arrived, Ryan texted. Please don't let Ethan make this about Lucy. Mason has no mother left. Dana replied. I know. I'll make sure command stays objective. That message alone was not misconduct. Ryan was terrified. Dana was responding. Then at 3:27. Ryan, Mason hides in reading corner. Ethan will go straight for Lucy if he knows she's there. Dana. I'm holding his crew until I can get another team in. I read it again. She had not held my crew only because of backup concerns. She specifically referenced me going for Lucy. At 3:28. Ryan, thank you. I can't lose him. Dana. You won't. Sandra stared at the screen. That promise is bad. Joel nodded. No chief can promise that. Then the last message. Sent at 3 hours 31 minutes and 7 seconds. 5 seconds before Dana ordered me to get Mason first. Ryan. He found them, right? Which one is he bringing? Dana did not respond. She transmitted instead. Ethan, get Mason first. That's a direct order. I felt something go cold inside me. Sandra shut the laptop. We're done for today. No. Yes. There's more. And you are now emotionally compromised enough that you stop. I looked at her. She did not blink. She was right. Again. I left through the rear entrance because reporters had gathered near the city building. The investigation was still confidential, but the basic story had leaked. Fire chief suspends firefighter husband after rescue involving their daughter and ex-boyfriend's son. It was exactly the kind of headline that could destroy everyone before facts caught up. I refused 3 interview requests. So did Joel. Dana did not. At 7:20 that night, Channel 8 aired a statement from the fire chief. Dana stood outside headquarters in uniform. I understand the public interest in this incident. As chief, I am obligated to enforce command discipline regardless of personal relationships. Both children were rescued, and I am grateful to every firefighter involved. The review process will determine whether department policy was followed. Careful. Professional. Almost perfect. Then a reporter asked. Chief Mercer, did your prior relationship with Mason Calloway's father affect your rescue order? Dana's face changed. Just slightly. No. One word. Absolute. I watched from my temporary apartment. Lucy was with me that night. She sat cross-legged on the couch eating macaroni and cheese. She looked at the television. Then at me. Mom said no. Yes. Is that true? I turned off the TV. That's for the investigators to decide. She frowned. But you know. I did. And that was exactly why I could not answer her. Children should not become jurors in their parents' marriage. Your mom loves you, I said. Lucy looked down at her bowl. Then why did she tell you to get Mason? There are questions no father can answer without hurting his child. So I gave her the only safe truth I had. I think your mom made a bad decision during a very scary moment. Lucy was quiet. Then. Was I going to die? My throat tightened. You were in danger. You got me. Yes. She leaned against my side. That's enough. It was for her. Not for me. At 9:43, Joel called. Keene wants your formal interview tomorrow. Fine. He also asked for your report. What report? Your safety concern. I frowned. I haven't filed one. You are going to. About Dana? About the incident command decision. That distinction mattered. A firefighter could submit a formal operational safety report when a command decision created a serious hazard or deviated from accepted procedure. It was not a complaint asking for punishment. It was a documented request for review. What happens after I file? The department's Safety and Health Committee reviews it independently. If they find a command-level failure, it goes to the city public safety office. And if they don't? Then it dies. I thought about Dana standing in front of cameras saying her prior relationship had not affected the order. Then I thought about the messages. I'm holding his crew until I can get another team in. You won't. Then the radio. Get Mason first. One report would not end Dana's career. That would have been fantasy. But one accurate report could force the city to examine the decision she had tried to reduce to my insubordination. If the evidence cleared her, she deserved to be cleared. If it did not, the consequence would belong to her. Send me the form, I said. Joel did. I spent an hour writing it. No accusations. No mention of divorce. No sentence saying Dana chose Ryan over Lucy. Just facts. Time. Location. Conditions. Victim status. Personnel assignments. Command instructions. The specific order to reverse a viable rescue. The roof collapse timeline. The risk created by delaying entry. And one request. Review whether personal victim identity influenced tactical prioritization contrary to Department Rescue and Incident Command standards. I read it 3 times. Then signed. At 11:18 p.m., I submitted the report. The next morning, before my interview even began, Thomas Keene placed a thick folder on the table. He looked at me across a pair of reading glasses. Lieutenant Mercer, I need you to understand something. What? This is no longer primarily an insubordination investigation. I said nothing. He tapped the folder. It is now an investigation into command judgment. And for the first time since Dana handed me the suspension notice beside our daughter's hospital bed, I realized she had made a serious miscalculation. She thought putting my conduct on paper would give her control of the story. Instead, it gave everyone else permission to put hers on paper too. Thomas Keene did not begin my interview by asking why I disobeyed Dana. He began with the building. Tell me what you saw when Rescue 4 arrived. So I did. Heavy smoke pushing from the east wing. Attic involvement. A partially compromised hallway. 2 confirmed children missing. A rapidly shrinking rescue window. He asked about staffing. Water supply. Backup teams. Radio traffic. Search pattern. Victim locations. Nothing about Ryan. Nothing about my marriage. For almost 40 minutes, Keene treated the incident exactly as it should have been treated from the beginning. As a fire. Only after we had reconstructed the operation minute by minute did he ask, when did you first understand that Chief Mercer wanted Mason Calloway removed before Lucy Mercer? When she said his name over the radio. Not before? No. You believe the initial staging order might have been tactical? Yes. Even though Lucy was inside? Yes. He looked mildly surprised. Why? Because commanders sometimes hold a company for coordination. I disagreed because conditions were deteriorating, but disagreement doesn't automatically mean improper motive. Keene made a note. Then. Why did you enter anyway? Confirmed trapped children. Engine 6 reported a survivable area. My crew was equipped and ready. Waiting for Truck 8 added time without adding capability we needed. Did you know you were violating a direct order? Yes. Would you do it again? Yes. That answer could hurt me. I gave it anyway. Keene leaned back. Why? Because both children were alive when we found them. That is hindsight. No. The decision was based on conditions available before entry. He nodded once. Good answer, apparently. Then he opened my safety report. Your report does not accuse Chief Mercer of intentionally endangering your daughter. I can't prove intent. It does not accuse her of prioritizing Mr. Calloway because of their previous romantic relationship. I can't prove that either. But you requested review of whether personal victim identity influenced tactical prioritization. Yes. What made you write that? The command order used Mason's name. Anything else? The timeline. He watched me. You have seen the text messages? Yes. Through union disclosure? Yes. What conclusion did you draw? That Ryan was influencing her thinking. Not the same as influencing the order. No. Again, he seemed to approve of the distinction. Keene closed the report. Lieutenant, I've investigated command failures for 27 years. I waited. The people who help themselves least are usually the ones who exaggerate. I'm not interested in exaggerating. What are you interested in? Knowing whether my suspension was legitimate. And your wife's command? Whether it was safe. He nodded. Good. Then he turned on a second recorder. This next section concerns Chief Mercer's conflict of interest. My stomach tightened. He asked about Ryan's relationship with Dana. I gave him only what I could verify. They dated years before I met her. They reconnected through his nonprofit. Dana's office had supported city fire safety programming with the nonprofit. Ryan attended department events. Dana and Ryan communicated frequently. I had concerns about the closeness. I had no proof of a sexual affair. Keene asked. Had you raised those concerns with her before the Lakeview fire? Yes. How did she respond? She said I was jealous. Were you? Probably. He looked up. That answer surprised him. I didn't ask whether your concerns were justified. I know. So yes? Yes. He was an ex-boyfriend who had become emotionally important to my wife. I was jealous. And did jealousy affect your rescue decision? No. How can you be sure? Because Lucy was free, medically compromised, and already in my arms. Mason was pinned with 2 rescuers working him. Any lieutenant should have removed Lucy first under those conditions. Keene wrote something. Then. That is also the preliminary conclusion of the independent tactical reviewer. I felt my shoulders loosen for the first time. Preliminary? Yes. He slid a document toward me. A retired battalion chief from Milwaukee had reviewed the radio traffic, thermal footage, patient records, and rescue sequence without names attached. Victim A. Victim B. Rescue Lieutenant. Incident Commander. His conclusion was blunt. Once Victim A had been located free of entrapment and presented with greater respiratory compromise, removing that victim while 2 rescuers continued extrication of Victim B was tactically reasonable. Ordering the rescue lieutenant to reverse direction after committing to egress created unnecessary delay and additional exposure. I read it twice. So my suspension? Not my decision yet. Understood. But the insubordination case is weakening. That was the closest Keene came to reassurance. Then he opened another file. There's a second issue. What? Chief Mercer's public statement. My stomach tightened again. She said her prior relationship with Ryan did not affect the order. Yes. Was that false? We're determining that. He turned the screen toward me. Dana had been interviewed the previous evening. Her statement was transcribed. Keene highlighted one section. Question. Before directing Lieutenant Mercer to retrieve Mason Calloway first, had Mr. Calloway communicated concerns that Lieutenant Mercer might prioritize his daughter? Dana's answer. I do not recall that specific discussion. Keene looked at me. You've seen the command aide's notes. Yes. You've seen the text. Yes. The text was impossible to square with, do not recall. Ryan had written. Ethan will go straight for Lucy if he knows she's there. Dana replied. I'm holding his crew until I can get another team in. Then, minutes later, she promised Ryan. You won't lose Mason. Keene said. Memory under stress is imperfect. I know. Do not decide she lied yet. I won't. But something inside me already had. Not because I wanted Dana punished. Because I knew how her mind worked. Dana remembered details. Always. At home, she could recall which cabinet contractor missed a deadline 3 years earlier and exactly what excuse he gave. At work, she could quote radio transmissions after multi-alarm fires almost word for word. Forgetting Ryan's message from the incident where our daughter nearly died seemed convenient. Too convenient. My interview ended at noon. When I stepped outside, Joel was waiting. Well? Insubordination looks weak. That's good. Command review looks worse. That's not surprising. He studied my face. What aren't you saying? She says she doesn't remember Ryan warning her I'd choose Lucy. Joel exhaled. That's going to be a problem. For her. For everyone. He was right. Dana's career was not built only on operational judgment. It was built on credibility. A chief could survive one bad tactical call. Maybe even a conflict lapse. What became harder to survive was an inaccurate statement during a formal investigation. Especially if investigators concluded it was intentional. At 2:30, the city placed Dana on administrative leave. Not discipline. Not termination. Leave. Marisol Vega announced that Deputy Chief Warren Price would serve as acting chief until the command review was complete. The department memo contained exactly 3 paragraphs. No mention of Ryan. No mention of me. No accusation. Just, to preserve the independence of the ongoing review, Chief Dana Mercer has been placed on paid administrative leave effective immediately. Within 10 minutes, every firefighter in Madison knew. Within 30, reporters knew. Within an hour, Ryan knew. He called me. I almost ignored it. Then I thought about the investigation. I answered and recorded the time immediately in my notes. Ethan. Ryan. His voice was tense. You need to stop this. I almost laughed. Stop what? Destroying Dana because you're angry at me. I filed a safety report. You know what that report is doing. It's being reviewed. Mason could have died. So could Lucy. He had no mother there. I went quiet. Ryan continued. You had Lucy. Dana knew you'd save her. No. Dana knew I was her father and decided that made me biased. You were biased. So was she. She was trying to be fair. By ordering me to pass over my daughter? You had a whole rescue crew. So did Mason. Silence. Then Ryan said something I will never forget. She knew Lucy had you. I closed my eyes. And Mason had who? Dana. There it was. Not incident command. Not department resources. Dana. As if she had personally assumed responsibility for Ryan's child in a way she had not for ours. I kept my voice level. Ryan, do not call me again. You're really going to let her lose everything? I don't control the investigation. Bullshit. You think because I filed the report, I control what the evidence says? You could withdraw it. That told me what he actually wanted. Not truth. Silence. The city already has the records. Tell them it was emotional. It wasn't. You were furious. I was. Then say that. No. His breathing became louder. Dana protected your career for years. No. I earned my career. You know what I mean. I do. That's why this conversation is over. I hung up. Then I immediately emailed Joel and Sandra Mills with a factual summary of the call. Time. Duration. Statements. No adjectives. No interpretation. Sandra replied 3 minutes later. Do not speak with him again. I didn't. That evening, Dana came to my apartment. She knocked. That mattered. She had a key to our family home. She had once possessed the authority to walk into any station in the department without asking. Now she stood outside my temporary apartment and waited for permission. I opened the door but did not invite her in. I've been placed on leave, she said. I heard. Her eyes were red. Did you know before the memo? No. You didn't ask for it? No. She looked at me like she was trying to decide whether to believe that. What did you ask for? A safety review. That's all? And review of my suspension. She laughed bitterly. You filed a report that questions the fire chief's command judgment. Yes. You knew where that could go. I knew it could be investigated. And if they decide I made the wrong call? Then they decide that. You really can separate yourself that cleanly? No. Then why do you sound like you can? Because I'm trying very hard not to turn this into revenge. She looked away. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then I asked. Did Ryan call you? Yes. Today? Yes. What did he say? That you're trying to punish both of us. And what did you say? She hesitated. That I didn't know anymore. Dana. I'm tired. That isn't an answer. She looked at me. I told him not to contact you. After he already did? Her eyes widened. He called you? Yes. What did he say? That I should withdraw the report. Her face went pale. He shouldn't have done that. No. I'll tell him. Don't. What? Don't coordinate anything with him about this investigation. Her expression hardened automatically. You don't get to order me. There she was. Then she caught herself. The anger drained. You're right. That was new. I asked one more question. Do you remember his text before you ordered me to get Mason? Silence. Her eyes moved away. That was enough. You do. She started crying. I remember parts. You told Keene you didn't recall the discussion. I didn't remember it clearly when he asked. Do you remember now? Yes. What changed? He showed me the message after my answer. I stared at her. So you forgot the text until you saw it? Yes. And now? Now I remember reading it. What did you think when you read it? Her breathing shook. That if you went in, you'd choose Lucy. Because she was our daughter. Yes. And you thought that was wrong. I thought it might compromise the search. 2 children were in the same room. I know. Did you hold my crew partly because Ryan asked you not to let me choose Lucy? She covered her face. When she answered, her voice was almost inaudible. Yes. That was the admission. Not that she wanted Lucy hurt. Not that she consciously wanted Mason to live instead of her. Something more believable and, somehow, more painful. Ryan planted the idea that I could not be trusted because I was Lucy's father. Dana accepted it. Then she overcorrected so aggressively that she prioritized his child by name. You should tell Keen, I said. She lowered her hands. If I do, I'm done. I don't know that. You know how this looks. Yes. They'll say I let my ex influence incident command. He did influence you. Her face twisted. I was trying not to favor my own daughter. And you solved that by favoring his son. I know. Do you? Yes. Her voice cracked through the hallway. Then she dropped it again. Yes. I looked at the woman I had married. For the first time, she did not look like the fire chief. She looked frightened. If I correct my statement, she whispered, I could lose my career. If you don't, and they prove you remembered? She closed her eyes. That answer was worse. She left 10 minutes later. At 9:16 that night, Keen received an amended statement from Dana. She acknowledged remembering Ryan's concern before giving the order. She acknowledged it affected her decision to hold Rescue 4. She acknowledged that her desire not to appear biased toward Lucy contributed to the later instruction to retrieve Mason first. And she wrote one sentence that changed the investigation completely. In attempting to avoid favoritism toward my daughter, I allowed a personal relationship and concern about perceived bias to influence tactical judgment. The next morning, Joel called me. She corrected the record. I know. How? She told me she would. Joel was quiet. Then. That may help her credibility. Will it save her? Not my call. No. It wasn't mine either. That was what Dana was finally learning. The report I filed had not ended her career. Not yet. It had simply taken the decision away from both of us. Now the command logs, medical evidence, messages, witness statements, and her own corrected testimony would decide what happened next. And for the first time in our marriage, Dana could not outrank the truth. Dana's amended statement changed the case from a disagreement over tactics into a documented conflict of interest investigation. By Friday morning, the city had separated the review into 3 questions. First, was my decision to enter Lakeview justified under department rescue policy? Second, did Dana's orders create an unreasonable operational risk? Third, did her relationship with Ryan Calloway improperly influence decisions she made as fire chief? That third question did not stay confined to the fire. It couldn't. Once investigators found that Ryan had influenced Dana's thinking during an active rescue, they had to determine whether the same thing had happened before. At 8:15, Thomas Keene called Joel Brenner and me into another interview. This time, Marisol Vega from the city manager's office was there. So was an attorney from the Municipal Ethics Division. That told me immediately this had expanded. Keene placed a folder on the table. Lieutenant Mercer, we're going to ask about prior interactions involving the Callaway Youth Initiative. Ryan's nonprofit. I sat straighter. What about it? Did you ever participate in selecting the organization for city fire safety programming? No. Were you aware it received a department-supported contract? Yes. Did Chief Mercer discuss the selection process with you? Only generally. What did she say? That Ryan's program had strong community reach and the city wanted more youth fire prevention work. Did she disclose her previous romantic relationship with Mr. Calloway to the procurement committee? I don't know. The ethics attorney, Alicia Monroe, made a note. Did you ever advise her to? Yes. Everyone looked up. Keene asked, when? About a year ago. Why? Because Ryan had started coming to department events frequently, and his nonprofit was pursuing a larger contract. What did Chief Mercer say? That everyone knew they dated years ago and it wasn't relevant. Did you agree? No. Why? Because the issue wasn't whether people knew. The issue was whether she had decision-making authority involving someone with whom she had a close personal history. Alicia asked. Did you believe they were romantically involved at that time? I suspected emotional closeness. I had no evidence of a physical affair. Again, the distinction. Keen nodded. Did you report the conflict? No. Why? That answer was uncomfortable. Because she was my wife. Nobody spoke for a moment. Then I added. And because I convinced myself it was a marriage issue, not a city issue. Alicia looked directly at me. That was a mistake. Yes. It was. One of mine. I had spent months telling myself I was being mature by not escalating concerns about Ryan. In reality, I had let my marriage influence my professional judgment too. Different direction. Same problem. Keen slid a copy of the procurement record toward me. Ryan's nonprofit had received a 3-year, $1.2 million community fire safety partnership. The contract itself was legitimate. The nonprofit existed. It ran real programs. Independent scoring showed it was one of the stronger applicants. This was not a fake charity. There was no obvious theft. But Dana had sat on the executive review panel. And she had scored Ryan's organization highest. Did she disclose? I asked. Alicia answered. Not formally. My stomach tightened. Was she required to? That's what we're reviewing. Then came the second issue. 2 months after the contract award, Dana's office authorized an additional $180,000 in discretionary outreach funding to expand Ryan's program into 3 neighborhoods. Legal approval existed. Budget authority existed. But the request bypassed the normal competitive mini-grant process. Dana signed the exception. Justification. Urgent community continuity need. Existing partner uniquely positioned for immediate expansion. Could that be legitimate? Yes. Was it automatically corrupt? No. But once the person receiving special treatment was your former boyfriend, and someone you were now texting during an active fire involving his child, the appearance became impossible to ignore. Keen said. We are not alleging the funding was improper at this stage. Understood. We are asking whether Chief Mercer should have recused herself. That sounds like an ethics question. It is. The meeting ended without accusations. That mattered. The city was doing exactly what Dana had failed to do. Separating suspicion from findings. I left feeling worse than when I arrived. Joel noticed. You thought the fire was the whole case. Yes. It probably isn't anymore. No. He stopped beside my truck. Ethan, listen to me. Do not start blaming yourself because you didn't report the nonprofit earlier. I should have. Maybe. I'm a lieutenant. I knew there was a conflict. You knew there might be one. I still stayed quiet. Then own that part. Don't own hers. That was harder than it sounded. Marriage teaches you to divide consequences badly. Her problem becomes yours. Your mistake becomes hers. After enough years, responsibility stops having clean edges. I drove to Lucy's school instead of home. She had returned after 4 days away. Her teacher said she was quieter than usual but otherwise doing well. When she came outside, she had a purple backpack over one shoulder and a drawing in her hand. Daddy. She ran toward me. That one word repaired more than therapy could have in that moment. I hugged her carefully because the burn on her arm was still bandaged. What's that? She handed me the drawing. 3 firefighters in front of a building. One was me. One was Tessa. One was Miguel. Where's Mom? Lucy looked down. She was outside. That sentence broke something in me. Not because it was false. Because that was how Lucy remembered the fire. Mom outside giving orders. Dad inside getting her. I crouched. Your mom was helping run the whole scene. I know. She helped lots of people. I know. Then why didn't you draw her? Lucy shrugged. I'm mad at her. There it was. I wanted to tell her not to be. I also did not want to police an 8-year-old's feelings because they were inconvenient for the adults. You're allowed to be mad. Are you? Yes. Do you still love Mom? The question came so directly that I almost answered too quickly. Yes. That was true. Love does not evaporate the moment trust does. Are you getting divorced? Children always know before parents decide how to phrase it. We're having serious problems. That means yes. Probably. She stared at the sidewalk. Because she picked Mason? No. That answer mattered. Then why? Because your mom and I have problems that started before the fire. Is it Ryan? I hated how much she had noticed. Ryan is part of some of the problems. Does Mom love him? I don't know. That was the truth. Lucy nodded slowly. Then asked, do I still have to see Mom? I looked at her. Of course. What if I'm mad? You can be mad and still love someone. She thought about that. Like you? Exactly. Dana called that night. Not about the investigation. About Lucy. She won't answer me. She's 8. I've called 4 times. She knows. Can you make her talk? No. The word came automatically. Dana went silent. Then. You could at least encourage her. I have. What did you say? That you love her. Another silence. Does she believe you? She knows you do. That wasn't what I asked. I rubbed my forehead. She's angry. I know. She remembers hearing you order me to get Mason. Dana's breath caught. She heard that? She remembers it. Oh God. You should talk to her when she's ready. I need to explain. No. What? You need to listen first. Her old defensiveness appeared immediately. I'm her mother. That doesn't mean you get to control the sequence. I'm trying to repair this. Then don't start by telling her what she should understand. She became quiet. A few months earlier, that conversation would have turned into a fight. Instead she whispered. Okay. Then. Is she sleeping at your place tonight? Yes. Can I see her Saturday? If she wants to. She's 8, Ethan. We make parenting decisions. Yes. But forcing a conversation about the fire before she's ready is different. Dana was quiet for several seconds. Ask her. I will. Then she asked. How bad is the ethics review? So she knew. I don't know. They pulled the Callaway contract. They asked me about it. Her voice tightened. What did you say? The truth. That you opposed it? I never opposed the program. You questioned my involvement. Yes. Ethan. No. What? I'm not going to soften my answer because we're married. We're still married. Legally. That landed. She breathed in slowly. Have you hired a lawyer? Yes. For divorce? Yes. Silence. Long enough that I checked the phone. Then. When? Yesterday. Without telling me? That is generally how hiring personal counsel works. Don't do that. Do what? Talk to me like I'm a defendant. You asked. She started crying. I'm losing my department, my daughter won't talk to me, and now you're filing. I haven't filed yet. Hope entered her voice immediately. Then don't. I closed my eyes. There it is. What? You hear not filed as an opening. Isn't it? No. Her voice cracked. So you already decided? Yes. Because of one command? No. Then tell me why. I could have listed everything. Ryan. The contract. Months of dismissing my concerns. The hospital suspension. Using command authority to punish disagreement. But none of those alone explained it. So I gave her the core. Because when the worst moment of our daughter's life happened, I discovered you no longer trusted me as her father or as an officer. She cried silently. And because when Ryan questioned whether I would do my job, you trusted his fear more than my record. I was trying to save both children. I know. I never wanted Lucy hurt. I know. Then why can't that matter? It does. Not enough. No. She whispered. I don't know how to survive losing all of this at once. That was the first time she sounded less like a chief and more like someone terrified. I almost comforted her. Old instinct. Then I remembered Joel's advice. Own mine. Not hers. You need people around you who aren't me, I said. That sounds like goodbye. It probably is. The call ended quietly. The next morning, the city released its first formal finding. My suspension was rescinded. Not reduced. Rescinded. The outside tactical reviewer concluded my entry was justified under the department's immediate life hazard exception and that my decision to remove Lucy while Tessa and Miguel continued Mason's extrication was consistent with accepted rescue priorities. The notice also stated that the order directing me to reverse a committed rescue was not supported by the available victim condition information. I read that sentence twice. 17 years in the department. 1 suspension. Gone. Back pay restored. Personnel record corrected. I could return to duty Monday. Tessa called first. Told you. You said the timeline felt wrong. It did. Miguel called next. Drinks? After shift. Coward. Then Joel. Congratulations. Don't celebrate publicly. I know. Command investigation continues. I know. The department cleared me. It had not cleared Dana. In fact, an hour later, Marisol Vega announced that Dana's leave would continue because the investigation had expanded beyond Lakeview to include procurement and conflict of interest procedures involving the Callaway Youth Initiative. News stations went wild. I stayed silent. Ryan did not. At 2:05, his nonprofit issued a statement accusing the city of politicizing a life-saving community partnership because of a private marital dispute. That was a mistake. A large one. Because the statement claimed Ryan had never sought preferential intervention from Dana's office. By 3:30, city investigators had emails contradicting that. One from Ryan, 8 months earlier. Dana, procurement is dragging this out. Can you push it from your side? We need the expansion approved before summer. Dana. I'll handle it. Don't loop procurement again until I know what they need. Another. Ryan, they want us to rebid the expansion. That kills the timeline. Dana, let me see if I can justify continuity exception. Nothing there proved bribery. Nothing proved Dana received a benefit. But it proved exactly what Ryan's public statement denied. He had asked her to intervene. She had. Then investigators found one more email. From the city procurement director to Dana. Given your prior personal relationship with Mr. Callaway, ethics recommends you delegate final approval of any non-competitive funding exception. Dana's response. Relationship ended almost 20 years ago. No current conflict exists. Proceed under my authority. That was not advice forgotten in a crisis. That was a warning in writing. And a chief consciously rejecting it. At 5:17, Marisol called me. Lieutenant Mercer, I need to notify you before this becomes public. What? The city manager is appointing a formal administrative review panel concerning Chief Mercer's fitness to continue in office. I closed my eyes. Because of my report? Your report triggered the operational review. That isn't what I asked. She paused. No. Not because of your report alone. What then? The report opened a record. The record revealed other decisions. That distinction mattered. Dana's career would not end because her husband filed one complaint. If it ended, it would be because the city looked at her decisions and concluded she could no longer be trusted with the authority of chief. Marisol continued. You may be called as a witness. I understand. Do not contact Chief Mercer regarding the review. I won't. After we hung up, I sat alone in my apartment. My suspension letter was still in a drawer. I took it out. 2 weeks earlier, Dana had handed it to me in our daughter's hospital room believing she was putting my judgment on trial. Now my record was cleared. Her judgment was under formal review. Not because I outranked her. I didn't. Not because I had more political power. I didn't. Because once the department stopped asking who had authority and started asking what actually happened, rank stopped mattering. The report had done exactly what a safety report was supposed to do. It forced people to look. And they were nowhere near finished looking yet. The administrative review panel met on a Monday morning behind closed doors at City Hall. By then, Dana had been off duty for 19 days. My suspension had been erased. I was back at Station 4. Lucy had returned to school. Ryan Callaway had hired a lawyer. And every firefighter in the city knew the next decision would determine whether Dana Mercer ever wore a chief's badge again. I was called as a witness at 9:40. The panel consisted of Marisol Vega, 2 outside municipal attorneys, retired Chief Thomas Keene, a representative from Human Resources, and 1 fire chief from another Wisconsin city who had no prior relationship with Dana. No reporters. No union crowd. No television cameras. That mattered. This was not a public hanging. It was an administrative process. I took an oath. Then Keene began. Lieutenant Mercer, your suspension has been rescinded. We are not revisiting that determination today. Understood. This panel is evaluating Chief Mercer's fitness for continued command. He asked me to describe only what I personally observed. I did. The fire. Ryan's presence. Dana holding my crew. The order to retrieve Mason first. The hospital suspension. The prior concerns I had raised about her involvement with Ryan's nonprofit. Keene asked. Did you ever tell Chief Mercer she should recuse herself from matters involving Mr. Callaway? Yes. How many times? Twice that I remember clearly. When? Once before the original nonprofit contract. Once before the neighborhood expansion. What did she say? The first time, she said their relationship was too old to matter. The second time, she told me I was confusing jealousy with ethics. One of the attorneys asked, "Were you jealous?" "Yes." "Then was she wrong?" "About the ethics issue, yes." The attorney looked up. "How can you separate the two?" "Because jealousy can make me uncomfortable with Ryan personally. It doesn't change whether a chief should disclose a prior intimate relationship when approving discretionary money for his organization." That answer seemed to satisfy them. Then came the question I had expected. "Do you want Chief Mercer fired?" "No." Marisol studied me. "No? I want the city to make whatever decision the record supports. If she is retained, I'll work under the chain of command. If she is terminated, I'll do the same." "You have filed for divorce?" "Yes." "Does that affect your answer?" "It's why I'm trying not to have an answer." That ended my testimony. Dana entered after me. I did not see her interview. I waited in a separate room with Joel Brenner and a cup of coffee that tasted like burned cardboard. At 12:15, Marisol requested I remain available. At 1:40, Ryan arrived with counsel. That surprised everyone. His nonprofit contract was not itself the subject of the hearing, but the panel wanted clarification regarding his communications with Dana before and during the Lakeview fire. He stayed inside 43 minutes. When he came out, he saw me. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he walked over. "This is what you wanted?" Joel immediately stood. I said, "No." Ryan laughed bitterly. "Your report started this." "Yes. And now Dana may lose everything. She made the decisions they're reviewing. You think that makes you clean?" "No." That answer stopped him. I continued. "I should have raised concerns about the nonprofit sooner." Ryan's expression shifted. "But I didn't order a rescue around your fear." His jaw tightened. "I was trying to save my son." "I know. You would have done the same." "I would have begged the chief to save Lucy." "Exactly." "No." I stepped closer. "I would not have expected her to turn that fear into an order to another firefighter." He looked away. "You don't know what it's like to be the only parent a kid has left." "No. I watched Mason lose his mother." "I know. So when I saw that building, you panicked." "Yes. That part one understand." He looked back at me. "What don't you understand? Why you're still pretending your panic should have controlled command." His face hardened. "Dana made the call." "Yes. That's my point." "No, Ryan. That's mine." Joel put a hand on my arm. "Enough." Ryan left. At 3:05, the panel adjourned without a ruling. That surprised me. The city had enough evidence to make a fast decision if all it wanted was an ending. Instead, they requested 3 more records. Dana's full procurement conflict disclosure history. Her executive communications with Ryan over the prior 18 months. And the fire department's disciplinary statistics for insubordination cases involving command disagreements. The last one interested me. Joel explained. "They're checking consistency." "With my suspension?" "Yes. If chiefs normally suspend people for comparable conduct." "Exactly." The answer came the next morning. Over the previous 7 years, Madison Fire had documented 14 cases where firefighters disobeyed or deviated from direct tactical orders during active incidents. 4 resulted in written counseling. 2 resulted in 1-shift suspensions. 8 resulted in no discipline after review concluded the deviation was based on changing conditions. None resulted in immediate indefinite administrative leave before preliminary fact-gathering. Except mine. That did not make Dana corrupt. It made her decision unusually severe. The panel then examined how quickly she acted. I was placed on leave less than 2 hours after the fire. Before the EMS reports were complete. Before the tactical recordings had been reviewed. Before Tessa and Miguel submitted statements. Before the fire investigator finished preliminary scene documentation. Dana disciplined first. Investigated second. Keene later called it a reversal of normal command review. The phrase appeared in the final findings. So did another. Personal anger materially influenced disciplinary judgment. Dana admitted that too. During her second panel interview, she was asked why she acted so quickly. Her answer. "Because Ethan challenged me publicly in front of the department and Ryan." The panel attorney asked. "Why does Mr. Calloway's presence matter?" Dana reportedly went silent for nearly 20 seconds. Then said, "Because I felt Ethan was accusing me of choosing Ryan while Ryan was standing there." "Were you?" "I thought I was protecting Mason from the possibility that Ethan would favor Lucy. And after the rescue? I was furious that he made me look compromised." "So you suspended him?" "Yes." That admission destroyed what remained of the argument that my suspension was purely procedural. But the procurement records were worse. The original $1.2 million nonprofit agreement had been scored competitively. Ryan's organization finished second on the initial committee scoring. Not first. A youth safety consortium called Safe Block Wisconsin ranked slightly higher. Dana then asked the committee to re-weight existing community integration and rapid deployment readiness. Those criteria were legitimate. The procurement office allowed them. After re-weighting, Ryan's organization moved into first place. Could a chief advocate for different scoring criteria? Yes. But Dana did it after the initial result. And without disclosing her prior relationship. Then came the $180,000 expansion. The procurement director had explicitly recommended she delegate approval because of the appearance of conflict. Dana refused. No evidence showed she received money. No evidence showed Ryan bribed her. No evidence showed the nonprofit failed to perform. The problem was simpler. She had been warned. She understood the issue. She decided her own judgment was enough to override the safeguard. Again. That word followed Dana through everything. Again. The rescue was not an isolated lapse. It was the most dangerous expression of a habit. On Wednesday, the city placed Ryan's nonprofit expansion funding under independent audit. The programs continued. Children did not lose services. New disbursements required a different city administrator. That was exactly how it should have worked. Correct the control. Do not punish beneficiaries. Ryan issued no statement this time. His lawyer had apparently learned something. Dana called me that evening. It was the first direct contact since Marisol instructed us not to discuss the review. She asked only about Lucy. "Can I see her tomorrow?" "Yes." "Will you be there?" "If she wants me to stay." "She said she wants you there." "Then yes." Dana was silent. Then. "She doesn't trust me alone. I think she's scared of having the fire conversation. I would never hurt her." "I know. That sounds like you're defending me." "I'm telling the truth." She breathed out shakily. "Ethan, do you know what they found?" "I know some of it." "The procurement scoring." "Yes. I didn't falsify anything." "I know. The criteria were valid." "Yes. The nonprofit performed." "I know. So why does it feel like I committed a crime?" "Because this isn't a criminal case." She went silent. "What is it then?" "Whether people can trust how you use authority." That hurt. I could hear it. She whispered. "I thought being chief meant making judgment calls other people were afraid to make. Sometimes. I thought recusal was cowardice if I knew I could be objective. That's the problem." "What?" "You made yourself the only judge of whether you were objective." She did not answer. The next day, Dana came to my apartment to see Lucy. She wore jeans and a gray sweatshirt. No uniform. No city vehicle. No radio. Lucy sat on the couch beside me and refused to look at her mother for the first 5 minutes. Dana did exactly what I had told her to do. She listened. Lucy asked, "Why did you tell Dad to get Mason?" Dana's face folded. "Because I made a bad decision." "Did you like Mason more?" "No." "Did you like Ryan more than Dad?" Dana looked at me. I gave her nothing. This was hers. "I cared too much about what Ryan was afraid of," she said carefully. "And I worried your dad would choose you because he loves you." Lucy frowned. "He should choose me." Dana started crying. "I know. No, Mom. I mean he's my dad." "I know. And Mason's dad wanted him." "Yes. So why was Dad bad for wanting me?" Dana wiped her face. "He wasn't." That answer mattered. Lucy stared at her. "Then why did you punish him?" Dana took almost a minute to answer. "Because I was embarrassed that I was wrong." There it was. An explanation an 8-year-old could understand better than most adults. Lucy began crying too. Dana reached for her. Lucy hesitated. Then moved into her arms. I looked away. That moment did not fix the marriage. It did something more important. It gave our daughter back a mother who was willing to admit the mistake without making Lucy responsible for forgiveness. Dana stayed an hour. When she left, she stopped at the door. They decide tomorrow. I know. If I lose the job. She paused. I waited. I'm not going to ask you to say the report was a mistake. That surprised me. Okay. I wanted to. I know. I spent the whole week thinking if you withdrew it, maybe they would stop. They wouldn't. I know that now. She gave a small, broken smile. The report isn't the evidence. No. It just made them look. Yes. That was the first time she said it herself. The decision came at 11:30 Friday morning. Marisol called me before the public announcement because I was both a witness and the original reporting firefighter. The review panel completed its recommendation. I stood in the apparatus bay behind Station 4. What did they decide? The city manager accepted the recommendation. I heard her inhale. Dana Mercer is being removed as fire chief effective immediately. I closed my eyes. Terminated from the department? No. That surprised me. She is being removed from command and offered retirement based on service eligibility. If she declines, the city will initiate demotion proceedings to a non-command administrative role pending civil service review. So her firefighting career isn't automatically over. Her chief career is. The title. The authority. The public command role. Gone. Basis? Marisol listed it. Improper personal influence on tactical command. Failure to manage a known conflict of interest. Disproportionate discipline influenced by personal anger. Failure to follow procurement recusal advice. Inappropriate delegation of authority in matters involving Ryan's nonprofit. And loss of confidence necessary for department leadership. No bribery. No fraud. No criminal misconduct. No invented scandal. Just a pattern the city could no longer entrust with command. I leaned against the engine. So one report did end her career. Marisol corrected me. No. I almost smiled. She understood why. One report opened the review, she said. Her record ended her tenure as chief. Exactly. At noon, the city announced Dana's removal. By 12:10, local news alerts were everywhere. By 12:30, reporters surrounded headquarters. At 1 o'clock, Dana issued a written statement. No attack on me. No accusation against the city. No Ryan. It read. I accept responsibility for allowing personal concerns to affect decisions that required complete professional separation. I disagree with some conclusions regarding my overall leadership record, but I understand why the city has determined that confidence in my command has been damaged. I am grateful to the firefighters I had the privilege to lead and to the residents I served. Then one final sentence. The safety report that initiated this review was properly filed and should not be blamed for the findings that followed. I read that line 3 times. Joel read it over my shoulder. Well. What? She finally protected you. Maybe. Or maybe she finally protected the truth. Either way, it mattered. Dana accepted retirement the following week. 22 years of service. Pension intact. Chief title gone. Badge surrendered. Her office cleared. The city appointed Warren Price interim chief while conducting a national search. At Station 4, nobody celebrated. That mattered to me too. Dana had been a good firefighter for many years. A good battalion chief for many more. One failure did not erase every rescue she made. A pattern of bad authority decisions still made her unfit to continue as chief. Both things could be true. That evening, she came to our old house while I was there collecting some of Lucy's clothes. Her white chief's helmet sat on the dining room table. Gold front shield. 4 crossed bugles. The symbol she had wanted for half her career. I turned in the badge, she said. I looked at the helmet. They let you keep that? Retirement presentation item. She laughed without humor. I don't know what to do with it. Put it away. Is that what you would do? Yes. She looked at me. Do you feel like you won? No. Not even a little. No. Why? Because my wife lost her career, my daughter nearly died, and we're getting divorced. Her eyes filled. That's not winning. No. She looked toward the helmet. I used to think every conflict had a winner. I know. And if I admitted I was wrong, that meant the other person won. That caused a lot of problems. Yes. She touched the helmet once. Then withdrew her hand. I was wrong. I said nothing. She continued. Not about everything I ever did as chief. No. But about Lakeview. Yes. About Ryan. Yes. About suspending you. Yes. About thinking authority meant I could decide when conflicts applied to me. Yes. She nodded. Then. I'm going to sign the divorce papers without contesting custody. That got my attention. What do you mean? Joint custody. Equal time if Lucy can handle it. That was what I planned to request. I know. No fight over the house? No. Pension? My lawyer says marital portions should be divided normally. Follow counsel. I will. She looked at me. I'm done making every no into a war. I believed she meant it. The marriage was still ending. Her career as fire chief was already over. Ryan's nonprofit remained under audit. And another question was waiting. Because investigators had just found out that Dana's professional relationship with Ryan was not the only thing she had concealed. 3 months before the Lakeview fire, she had signed a private lease. Not for office space. For an apartment. And Ryan Calloway's name was on the access log. The apartment was 12 minutes from our house. That was the first thing that bothered me. If Dana had rented a place because she needed temporary space from our marriage, she could have chosen anywhere. Downtown. Near headquarters. Closer to Lucy's school. Instead, she chose a furnished 2-bedroom unit in a quiet building near Lake Mendota. Ryan Calloway lived 7 minutes away. I learned about it from my divorce attorney, Laura Bennett, not from the city investigation. The lease had surfaced during mandatory financial disclosure. 6-month term. Paid from Dana's personal checking account. Signed 3 months before the Lakeview fire. I stared at the document. She never told me. Laura nodded. That matters emotionally. Legally, the apartment itself is not a major asset. How much? $2,800 a month. That isn't what I mean. She understood. Ryan's name isn't on the lease. No? No. But there are building access records. How did we get those? Dana disclosed them voluntarily after her lawyer saw the lease would raise questions. That surprised me. Laura slid over another packet. Dana had requested guest access for Ryan 7 times. Not overnight access. Not technically. He entered the building between 6 o'clock and 9 p.m. on 6 occasions and once just after 10 o'clock. Departure times showed he left the same evening each time. No proof they slept together. No proof of a physical affair beyond anything Dana had already admitted. But 7 private visits to an apartment your spouse does not know exists do not require much imagination to damage a marriage. Did Lucy ever go there? I asked. Twice. That hurt more. When? Once with Dana. Once with Dana and Ryan. I looked up. She took our daughter there with him? According to the access records and garage entry, yes. Laura watched me carefully. Ethan, do not make a custody decision from this information alone. I'm not. Good. Did Dana explain why she rented it? She provided a written disclosure. Laura handed it over. Dana wrote. I leased the apartment because I believed Ethan and I were approaching separation and I wanted a private place to think without escalating conflict at home. I did not disclose the apartment because I had not decided whether I was leaving the marriage. Ryan visited because I relied on him emotionally during that period. We kissed there twice. We did not have sexual intercourse. I understand that concealing the apartment and the visits was dishonest regardless of whether the relationship became sexual. I read the paragraph twice. No euphemism. No, just friends. No attempt to redefine a secret apartment as networking. That almost made it worse. She had finally become completely honest after honesty could no longer save anything. Laura asked. Do you want to amend the divorce filing? No. Fault allegations? No. Why? Because we're already divorcing. She nodded. Then this stays in financial disclosure unless it becomes relevant to parenting or property. Fine. I took a copy. Not for revenge. Because I was tired of discovering parts of my marriage through other people's records. Dana called that evening. I assume Laura showed you. Yes. I should have told you. Yes. I thought I would before I actually moved out. You already had a second home. I never slept there overnight. That isn't the part that matters. I know. Why take Lucy? Dana went quiet. She wanted to see where I worked sometimes. You told her it was work? No. I said it was a place I sometimes went to think. And Ryan was there. Once. Why? We ordered dinner. I closed my eyes. You brought our daughter into your secret almost separation apartment and had dinner with the man you were emotionally involved with. Yes. Did you understand how that might feel to her later? No. At the time? No. That is hard to believe. It's true. I wanted to argue. Instead I asked, did you plan to leave me for him? Dana was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. Yes. The answer came softly. When? I don't know exactly. That's not what I asked. About 2 months before the fire. There it was. Not a possibility. A plan. Did Ryan know? Yes. Did he ask you to leave? Yes. And you? I told him I needed time. Why? Because I still loved you. That sentence made me angry. Not because I thought she was lying. Because I believed her. She had loved me while quietly building an exit. Loved Lucy while taking her into a room connected to a future none of us had agreed existed. Loved her career while treating conflict rules like suggestions. Dana did not stop caring. She started believing care gave her permission to control the timing of everyone else's reality. When were you going to tell me? After I decided. You had already rented the apartment. I know. You had kissed him there. Yes. You had discussed leaving me. Yes. You had taken Lucy there. Yes. What was left to decide? Her voice broke. Whether I could actually do it. I said nothing. Then she whispered. And whether you would fight me over Lucy. My stomach tightened. What? I was afraid custody would become ugly. Did I ever threaten you with that? No. Did I ever say you were a bad mother? No. Then why? Because I knew you'd hate Ryan. That is not a custody standard. I know that now. Dana, you're a fire chief. You understand process. I understood process at work. You used to. That landed. She started crying. I kept imagining every hard conversation before it happened. And then? I tried to arrange things so I would have more control when it did. The apartment. The nonprofit. The rescue. My suspension. Same pattern. She anticipated resistance, then tried to reduce it before asking. That is exactly why we're divorcing. I know. The answer came without protest. The city investigation also found the apartment, but not through my divorce. Ryan's department-related texts referenced it twice. One message, sent 6 weeks before Lakeview. Can we meet at the place tonight? Too many people know me at headquarters now. Dana replied. After Lucy's asleep. 8:30. That line looked terrible. Investigators asked whether Lucy was home alone. She wasn't. I was. I had been sleeping 10 feet down the hall while my wife drove to a secret apartment to meet her ex. Another message followed that night. Ryan. You can't keep living halfway between me and Ethan. Dana. I know. After the promotion cycle. I can't blow up home and the department at the same time. There had been no promotion cycle for her. She was already chief. The phrase referred to me. I had applied for battalion chief. I did not get it. At the time, Dana told me the panel selected someone stronger on administrative experience. I accepted that. Now the message created an obvious question. Had my marriage affected my promotion too? I called Joel Brenner. Tell me I'm overreacting. You might be. Did Dana sit on my battalion promotion panel? No. Did she influence it? I don't know. She wrote she didn't want to blow up home and the department during my promotion cycle. That could mean exactly what it sounds like emotionally. Or she knew something. I hated that answer. The union requested preservation of promotion records. I did not want another investigation. I wanted one part of my life to stop producing hidden files. But by then, refusing to look would have been its own choice. The records arrived 2 days later. My scoring was clean. Written exam, 2nd highest. Assessment center, 4th. Panel interview, 3rd. 3 battalion positions opened. I should have made the promotion list. I did. I ranked 3rd. But only 2 positions were filled immediately. The 3rd was deferred because of budget uncertainty. 6 weeks later, funding returned. Instead of promoting from the existing list, Dana's administration reopened the process after modifying eligibility criteria to emphasize command school certification. I did not yet have that certification. The eventual 3rd promotion went to someone who did. Was that illegal? No. Could the chief change criteria prospectively? Yes. Did Dana personally propose the certification requirement? Yes. That bothered me. Keene interviewed the human resources director. She produced an email. Dana. If we fill the third slot from the current list, Ethan is next. Given current household circumstances, I do not believe it is appropriate for him to enter my direct senior command structure right now. Can we defer and revise qualifications before the next posting? HR replied. Chief, marital circumstances cannot be considered in a promotional decision. If there is a supervisory conflict, we can address reporting structure after appointment. Dana. Understood. Then hold the vacancy for budget review. I will revisit qualifications later. 2 months later, the qualification changed. I read the email standing in the Station 4 kitchen. Joel sat across from me. That's bad, he said. Yes. It doesn't prove retaliation. No. But HR explicitly told her not to use marital circumstances. Yes. And she then found another route. Yes. That was the part that mattered. Again. Avoid the no. Change the structure. Make the outcome easier to control. The city reopened the promotion decision for administrative review. I hated every second of it. I did not want Dana's career to keep falling apart because my life kept intersecting with hers. But this one was mine. My lost promotion. My record. My pay. My future pension calculation. I could not pretend it was irrelevant just because admitting injury felt vindictive. The review concluded quickly. The department could not retroactively prove I would have received the 3rd Battalion position, because the city retained authority to delay hiring. But investigators found Dana's email created an improper personal consideration in a personnel decision. The city offered corrective relief. Immediate eligibility for the next battalion vacancy. Restored seniority credit if selected. Back pay adjustment equivalent to the difference from the date of the reopened position if arbitration sustained the union grievance. I accepted the process. Not a guaranteed promotion. A fair chance. That was enough. Dana heard before I told her. She called. I'm sorry. For the apartment or the promotion? She went silent. That's awful. It's accurate. The promotion. I waited. I thought promoting you into senior command while our marriage was falling apart would create a conflict. HR told you how to handle that. I know. They told you not to consider the marriage. I know. And you did anyway. Yes. You cost me a promotion. Her voice cracked. I may have. No. You at least changed the process to avoid the possibility. Yes. I closed my eyes. Did Ryan know? Yes. That answer no longer surprised me. What did he say? That if you became battalion chief, you'd have more leverage inside the department during a divorce. There it was. Again. Ryan reframing ordinary independence as threat. And you believed him. I was afraid. You keep saying that. Because I was. Fear doesn't turn control into safety. I know. She was quiet. Then. I'm starting to understand how much I was managing your ability to leave me before you even knew I might leave you. That sentence stopped me. Because it was exactly right. She had rented an apartment. Considered a future with Ryan. Taken Lucy there. Then worried I might become battalion chief before she announced any of it. So she interfered with the timing. Not because I was unqualified. Because my promotion might make the separation harder for her to control. You weren't protecting the family, I said. No. You were positioning. Yes. She cried. I'm sorry. I believed her. That still changed nothing. The divorce settlement was nearly complete. Joint custody. Equal parenting time adjusted around my shifts. No claim that Dana was an unsafe mother. No attempt by her to use my schedule against me. The house would be sold. Her pension and mine would be divided only to the extent required by marital property rules. No war. That was the one mercy left. Then Ryan's nonprofit audit concluded. No stolen money. No fake invoices. No fraud. Programs were real. Expenses were generally supported. But the city found the $180,000 expansion exception should not have been approved by Dana because of the undisclosed conflict. The contract was not cancelled. Instead, future funding moved under a competitive process and another department assumed oversight. Ryan resigned as executive director 3 days later. He called it voluntary. His board called it necessary to restore public confidence. He did not go to prison. He did not lose everything. He lost the role where his relationship with Dana had become too entangled with city authority. That was proportional. Dana heard the news from television. She called me but did not ask whether I felt satisfied. Instead she said, "He resigned. I saw. I thought I was helping his program." "You probably were. That's the worst part." "What? The program was good." "Yes. I didn't need to bend anything." "No. If I had recused myself, it might still have won." "Probably." She laughed bitterly. "So I risked my career to help something that may not have needed help. That happens when you decide safeguards are obstacles instead of protection." She went quiet. Then, "You sound like Keen. I'll try to recover." That got a small laugh. The next battalion vacancy opened 2 weeks later. I applied. Same exam. Same assessment process. Different panel. No Dana. No marriage in the room. I ranked first. The city offered me the position. I accepted. Not because Dana lost the chief's office. Not because I wanted her title someday. Because I had earned the opportunity once and finally got a process clean enough to prove it. Lucy came to the small promotion ceremony. Dana did too. She stood in the back. No uniform. No chief's bars. When the deputy city manager pinned the battalion insignia on my collar, Lucy clapped harder than anyone. Afterward, Dana approached. "Congratulations, battalion chief." I almost corrected her out of habit. Instead I said, "Thank you. You should have had it sooner." "Maybe." "No." She shook her head. "You should have had the chance sooner." That wording mattered. She finally understood the difference between an outcome and the right to compete for it. Then she glanced toward Lucy. "Can I take her for dinner? It's your night." Dana nodded. No request to join. No attempt to turn my promotion into a family moment that no longer existed. She took Lucy's hand and started toward the parking lot. Halfway there, Lucy ran back and hugged me. "Good job, Dad." "Thanks, kiddo." Then she ran back to her mother. I watched them leave together. Dana had lost the career she built. Ryan had lost the non-profit role he turned into leverage. I had regained my record and finally earned the promotion I had been denied a fair shot at. But none of that felt like revenge anymore. The deeper consequence was simpler. Dana had spent years arranging circumstances because she was terrified of what people might choose if she stopped controlling the options. In the end, everyone got choices anyway. Ryan chose his own survival when the audit closed in. I chose divorce. Lucy chose when she was ready to forgive her mother. The city chose a new chief. And Dana, for the first time in years, had no title powerful enough to rearrange any of those answers. Dana did not try to get her job back. That surprised almost everyone. Her union representative told her she had grounds to challenge parts of the administrative process. Not necessarily enough to restore her as fire chief. But enough to fight the wording of the final findings. Enough to drag the city through arbitration. Enough to make every disciplinary detail public. Old Dana would have done it. She hated losing. More than that, she hated letting someone else write the official version of why she lost. Instead, she signed the retirement papers. No grievance. No press conference. No lawsuit. Her pension remained intact. Her 22 years of service remained on record. So did the findings. I heard about the decision from Joel. "She's really walking?" "Yes." "No appeal?" "No." "Why?" He shrugged. She told her rep that if the city restored her title tomorrow, she still wouldn't trust herself to wear it yet. That stayed with me. Not because it made everything better. It didn't. But there was a difference between losing authority and understanding why you should not have it. Dana seemed to be moving slowly toward the second. The divorce became final 6 weeks after my battalion promotion. Joint custody. No ugly trial. No accusation that I had turned Lucy against her. No claim that Dana's professional failures made her an unsafe parent. We divided the house proceeds. Retirement accounts were handled according to state law. No one tried to punish the other through money. At the hearing, the judge asked whether the marriage was irretrievably broken. Dana answered first. Yes. No hesitation. I answered the same. The judge signed. 11 years of marriage ended in less than 15 minutes. Outside the courthouse, Dana stood beside me on the steps. For a moment, neither of us knew what to say. Finally she looked at my collar. I was still in uniform because I had come directly from a morning command meeting. Battalion chief suits you. Thanks. She smiled faintly. You know, I almost ruined that too. I know. I keep finding new things to apologize for. You don't have to keep doing that. I think I do. No. She looked at me. Why? Because an apology isn't supposed to become a subscription. That almost made her laugh. Almost. I'm not trying to earn my way back. Good. I know there is no back. That was the first time she said it plainly. No pause. No hidden question. No, maybe someday. Just acceptance. Then she took something from her bag. My old lieutenant's shield. The one from Station 4. I stared. How did you get that? You left it in the house after the move. I took it. The metal was scratched from years of use. Thought you'd want it. I do. She nodded. Then. I used to think your career existed inside mine. I looked at her. What? Not officially. That's not better. I know. She looked embarrassed. When you became lieutenant, I was already battalion chief. When I became chief, you were still at Station 4. Somewhere along the way I started thinking every promotion you got would affect me more than it affected you. That's why you interfered. Yes. You told yourself it was conflict management. Yes. But really? I wanted control over when you became harder to manage. That was ugly. Also honest. And Ryan fed that. He did. But he didn't invent it. Exactly. Dana had finally stopped using his influence as a shield. She continued. I thought if you became battalion chief before I decided what I was doing with the marriage, you'd have more standing in the department, more confidence, more options. You mean leverage? Yes. And you were afraid of that? Yes. Why? Because I had already started leaving. The apartment. Ryan. The secret dinners. The kisses. The future she was testing without telling me. She had been preparing to leave while quietly reducing my ability to stand independently when she did. That was the part one would never fully forgive. Not because I wanted revenge. Because it changed what every memory from that period meant. She looked at the courthouse doors. I'm sorry I tried to manage your future before I told you I was reconsidering ours. I nodded. That one matters. I know. Then she asked. Do you hate me? No. She looked surprised. Really? Yes. That almost hurts more. I'm not saying I'm fine. I know. I'm saying hate would keep me tied to you in a different way. Her eyes filled. I don't want to be the worst thing that ever happened to you. You're not. What is? Ask me after retirement. That actually made her laugh. For the first time in months, it sounded natural. Then her car arrived. Before leaving, she said. I'm going to Milwaukee. For what? There's a municipal leadership institute there. They asked me to help teach incident ethics and conflict management. I stared at her. You? Apparently failure qualifies as curriculum. That may be the most useful qualification. She nodded. I told them I would only do it if the first session included Lakeview. Your case. My failure. That wording again. Not the controversy. Not the situation. Failure. I did not tell her I was proud. That would have been too intimate. But I was relieved. If she was going to build another life, at least she was not starting by rewriting the old one. 3 months later, I saw the first recording from that seminar. A firefighter from another department sent it to me. Thought you'd want to see this. I almost deleted the link. Then watched. Dana stood in front of a room of battalion chiefs and deputy chiefs wearing plain clothes. No uniform. No badge. A slide behind her showed only a timestamp. 3 hours 31 minutes and 12 seconds. The exact moment she ordered me to get Mason first. Dana said. This is the minute I stopped being an incident commander and started being a person trying to control how other people would judge me. The room was silent. She continued. My daughter and another child were trapped in the same room. My husband was leading the rescue crew. The other child's father was someone with whom I had a personal relationship. No euphemism. No hiding Ryan behind, community partner. I became afraid that if my husband rescued our daughter first, everyone would say I had allowed favoritism. She paused. So I overcorrected. Then the radio audio played. Her voice. Ethan, get Mason first. That's a direct order. Even months later, hearing it made my stomach tighten. Dana let the silence sit. Then said. That was not neutrality. That was favoritism in the opposite direction. Next slide. Lucy's oxygen saturation. 81%. Mason's. 90%. Then the rescue assignments. Lucy free and already in my arms. Mason pinned but with 2 firefighters actively working him. Dana said. I issued an order based on identity after tactical conditions had already created the correct rescue sequence. No mention that I was her husband until necessary. No claim that I was heroic. Just facts. Then she played the messages from Ryan. Names redacted in the training copy. He'll go straight for his daughter. Her reply. I'm holding his crew until I can get another team in. Dana looked around the room. The moment I typed that sentence, I was no longer evaluating only operational conditions. She moved to the next slide. The suspension. She told them how quickly she signed it. Before crew statements. Before EMS documentation. Before tactical review. I called it command discipline. Then she looked straight toward the audience. It was retaliation for embarrassing me. That line hit harder than anything else. No lawyer had forced her to say it. No panel was evaluating her now. She was telling future chiefs the truth because the truth was useful. The seminar lasted an hour. Near the end, someone asked, would you have lost your job if your husband hadn't filed the safety report? Dana paused. Then answered, probably not then. Several people shifted. She continued, but that is the wrong question. I leaned closer to the screen. The report did not create my decisions. It created review. Exactly. If a safety report can end your career simply because someone examines your documented conduct, the report is not the problem. I stopped the video. That sentence was enough. I never told Dana I watched it. She never asked. That felt healthy. My own career kept moving. As battalion chief, I commanded 4 stations. The first month was uncomfortable. Firefighters who knew the story watched me carefully whenever family issues crossed into work. That was fair. So I made one rule for myself. If Lucy, Dana, or anyone personally connected to me became involved in a major incident under my command, I disclosed the conflict immediately and transferred tactical authority where practical. Not because I believed I was incapable of making a good decision. Because Dana had taught me the danger of making yourself the only judge of your own objectivity. The first time I actually used the rule came 8 months later. A vehicle rollover on Interstate 90. Dana happened to be passing the scene with Lucy in the car. Neither was hurt, but they witnessed the crash and stopped before crews arrived. When I heard their names over dispatch as civilian witnesses, I immediately told Deputy Chief Warren Price. My family is on scene. I'm transferring direct tactical command to Battalion 2. He said. You're 10 minutes out anyway. Still documenting it. Understood. Simple. No drama. No one accused me of weakness. The incident went fine. Later, Lucy asked, why didn't you boss everyone around? I laughed. Because someone else could do it better in that moment. But you're a chief now. Chiefs don't have to control everything. She considered that. Mom learned that too. Kids have a way of cutting directly to the point. Yes. Lucy's relationship with Dana slowly improved. Not instantly. There were bad days. One night, she called me from Dana's house crying because Dana had taken away her tablet. For half a second, old instincts flared. Was Dana being controlling again? Was Lucy scared? Then I asked the normal questions. Why was the tablet taken? Because Lucy had stayed up until midnight after being told twice to stop. How long are you grounded? Until tomorrow. That sounds reasonable. You're supposed to be on my side. I am. That doesn't sound like it. I almost laughed. There it was. The same mistake in miniature. Thinking love meant choosing someone regardless of facts. No, I said. Being on your side doesn't mean telling you you're right every time. Lucy grumbled. Dana later texted. Thanks for not making me the villain. I replied. You weren't. That became our new relationship. Not spouses. Co-parents. Sometimes allies. Sometimes irritated. But no one used Lucy as leverage. No one tried to win. Ryan disappeared from our lives almost completely. After leaving the nonprofit, he moved to Minneapolis and joined a private youth sports organization. Mason went with him. Lucy exchanged messages with Mason occasionally. I never stopped her. Mason had done nothing wrong. He had been 10 years old in a burning room. Whatever adults did around him belonged to adults. Ryan sent me one email about a year after Lakeview. Subject: no response needed. I opened it anyway. Ethan, I owe you an apology. At the fire, I was terrified and I pushed Dana to prioritize Mason. I told myself any father would do the same. That may be true, but I was not the incident commander. I also spent months encouraging Dana to see your independence as a threat because I wanted her to leave you. I'm not asking forgiveness. I just don't want to keep pretending my fear and self-interest were neutral. Mason is doing well. I hope Lucy is too. I read it once. Then archived it. No response. He had apologized. Good. I did not need a relationship with him. Dana eventually took a permanent position with the Leadership Institute. Not as chief. Not running a department. She trained command staff, reviewed near-miss incidents, and helped municipalities build conflict recusal policies. Her salary was less than half what she made before. She seemed happier. That surprised me. At Lucy's 9th birthday dinner, Dana and I ended up alone in the kitchen for a few minutes while the kids attacked a cake in the living room. She looked through the doorway. She's okay. Yes. I used to think the fire would be the thing she remembered most about being 8. She remembers other things. She told me she mostly remembers the hospital popsicles now. That's probably good. Dana smiled. Then, thank you for not taking her from me. I looked at her. That was never on the table. I know. I was angry with you as a wife and as a chief. I know. But you're her mother. Her eyes filled. I didn't trust that distinction back then. No. You did. Mostly. She looked toward Lucy. I'm glad one of us did. The birthday ended around 9. Dana drove home. I returned to my house. Not our old house. Mine. Smaller. Closer to Station 2. Quiet. I put my battalion coat over a chair and noticed the old suspension notice in a file box I had never unpacked. I took it out. The paper looked almost ridiculous now. Administrative leave pending internal review. Dana had signed it less than 2 hours after I carried our daughter out of a burning building. At the time, she thought the signature ended the argument. Instead, it started the review that ended her command career. But after everything that followed, I no longer saw the paper as proof that I beat her. There was no victory in it. It was proof of something else. Authority could put your name on a punishment. It could not make the punishment correct. That required evidence. And evidence had eventually done what neither love, anger, rank, nor fear could do. It forced all of us to stop arguing about who deserved loyalty and start answering for what we had actually done. Dana lost her badge. Ryan lost his influence. I lost my marriage. Lucy nearly lost much more. The report did not create any of that. It simply prevented us from hiding behind our preferred versions. And once that happened, Dana finally stopped asking me to forgive the chief she had been. She started becoming someone who no longer needed the badge to tell her who she was. 3 years after the Lakeview fire, I stood outside Madison City Hall wearing the white shirt and gold collar pins of a deputy fire chief. That was not how I expected my story with Dana to end. For a long time, I thought every consequence from that day would remain connected to her. My suspension. Her removal. The divorce. Ryan. The promotion she interfered with. The report. Instead, life did what it usually does after the headlines disappear. It kept moving. I served 2 years as battalion chief before Warren Price announced his retirement. The city opened a national search for deputy chief of operations. I almost did not apply. Not because I lacked qualifications. Because part of me still hated the idea that anyone might think I had climbed through the hole Dana left behind. Joel Brenner noticed. You planning to sit at battalion forever? Maybe. Why? I like it. That's not why. I ignored him. He continued. You're worried people will say you got promoted because your ex-wife got removed. Some will. Some people think turnout gear causes fires because it always shows up near one. That is the stupidest analogy you've ever used. Still made you listen. He was right about that. So I applied. The panel had 7 members. 2 from outside departments. 1 city HR director. 1 labor representative. 3 public safety administrators. Nobody who had been involved in the Lakeview review scored my interview. I ranked second after the first round. First after the assessment center. The city offered me deputy chief. This time there was no hidden email. No qualification changed after scoring. No spouse in a position to influence the result. Just a process. I accepted. Lucy was 11 by then. She came to the promotion ceremony wearing a navy dress and bright red sneakers because she said formal shoes were a scam invented by adults. Dana sat 2 rows behind her. No uniform. No badge. She had flown in from Milwaukee that morning after teaching a command ethics seminar. When Marisol Vega pinned the deputy chief insignia to my collar, Lucy stood and clapped before anyone else. Dana stood too. That mattered. Not because I needed her approval. Because years earlier, she had quietly feared my advancement. Now she could celebrate something that gave her no control at all. Afterward, she hugged Lucy. Then approached me. Deputy Chief Mercer. Don't start. She smiled. You earned it. Thank you. No apology attached. No reference to what she had once cost me. Just congratulations. That was healthier than reopening old damage every time something good happened. Dana's life had changed just as much. The Municipal Leadership Institute expanded her program. She helped departments review near-miss incidents, nepotism policies, command conflicts, and executive recusal procedures. She became good enough at it that departments started requesting her specifically. The irony no longer embarrassed her. She used it. At one seminar, a new battalion chief asked whether a leader with personal involvement could still make an objective decision if they were experienced enough. Dana apparently answered, maybe. But if another qualified commander is available, why make everyone depend on your confidence in yourself? That line ended up in a state training bulletin. I kept a copy. Not because it came from my ex-wife. Because it was good policy. Lucy eventually learned the full story. Not at 8. Not at 9. At 11, she asked directly. We were sitting at a diner after basketball practice. Dad, did Mom lose her job because you reported her? I set down my coffee. Who told you that? Some kid at school. Of course. Children are just smaller versions of adults when it comes to repeating half-understood stories. What did they say? That you got Mom fired because she tried to save Mason. I felt anger rise. Then I remembered what I had spent 3 years learning. Do not answer emotion with a preferred narrative. Answer with facts. I filed a safety report because I believed one command at the fire was dangerous. Was it? The independent review said yes. And then Mom got fired? She was removed as chief later. So yes. No. Lucy frowned. I continued. The report made the city look at the fire. When they looked, they found other problems too. Like Ryan? Some involved Ryan. And you? Some involved me. Her eyes narrowed. What did Mom do to you? That was harder. I could have told her about the promotion. The apartment. The emails. The divorce planning. She did not need all of it. Your mom let personal problems affect some work decisions. Did she hurt your job? Yes. Lucy stared at the table. Do you hate her for that? No. Why not? Because being angry at something someone did and wanting their whole life destroyed are different things. She thought for a moment. Did you want her fired? No. Did Mom deserve it? I chose my words carefully. I think the city had good reasons to decide she should not keep being fire chief. That sounds like yes. It sounds like I'm not the person who made that decision. She rolled her eyes. You talk like a lawyer. I pay enough of them. That made her laugh. Then she became serious again. Mom says she was wrong. I know. She says you saved me. Yes. And Mason. My crew saved both of you. You got me first. Yes. Would you do it again? Yes. No hesitation. Lucy nodded. Good. Then she went back to her fries. Children often end conversations adults spend years trying to resolve. Ryan never returned to Madison permanently. Mason did. He came back for college. At 18, he visited Station 4 one afternoon. I was deputy chief by then and happened to be there for an apparatus inspection. He was taller than me. That felt unfair. Chief Mercer? Ethan is fine. He smiled nervously. I wanted to say thank you. For what? For getting us out. Tessa and Miguel did most of your extrication. I know. He looked around the bay. My dad told me what happened. How much? Enough. I waited. Mason shoved his hands into his jacket pockets. He feels guilty. That's between him and himself. He thinks if he hadn't pushed Dana. I stopped him. You were 10. I know. Your father was terrified. He still shouldn't have done it. No. But none of that is yours. He looked relieved. Maybe he had needed someone to say that for years. Then he asked. Was Lucy really worse off than me? Yes. He nodded. So getting her first was right. Under the conditions we had, yes. That's what I wanted to know. He left 10 minutes later. No dramatic reconciliation. No friendship. Just one child from a fire finally old enough to understand that being rescued second did not mean being valued less. That distinction mattered too. The city eventually closed every administrative file connected to Lakeview. Ryan's nonprofit contract expired and was rebid competitively. The organization survived under new leadership. Safe Block Wisconsin won part of the next cycle. Ryan's old nonprofit won another part. The programs had always been legitimate. Removing compromised decision-making did not require pretending the work had no value. The same was true of Dana. Her 22 years in the department did not disappear because her final years contained serious failures. Her rescues remained rescues. Her training programs remained useful. The firefighters she mentored still benefited from what she taught them. The chief title was gone. The work before it was not. That was something I had struggled to understand when everything was raw. Consequences do not need to erase a person to be real. My relationship with Dana eventually became ordinary. That may have been the strangest outcome. We discussed school schedules, basketball tournaments, dentist appointments, summer camps. When Lucy turned 12 and wanted a phone, Dana thought it was too early. I thought it was fine. We disagreed. Nobody invoked authority. Nobody punished the other. Nobody called Ryan. We compromised at a basic phone with limited apps. It took 15 minutes. Afterward, Dana looked at me and laughed. What? We just disagreed without ruining anyone's career. Growth. I'm serious. So am I. She shook her head. I made everything feel like command for so long. Yes. I don't miss that. I believed her. She started dating again eventually. Not Ryan. A physical therapist named Martin Graves. He worked with injured municipal employees and met Dana through a training conference. The first time she told me, she looked embarrassed. You don't need my approval. I know. Then why are you telling me? Because Lucy will meet him eventually. That makes sense. Any issue? Only if Lucy has one. Dana nodded. That was it. No jealousy. No comparison. My life moved too. I met Elena Brooks at a city resilience planning conference. She was an emergency management attorney. Smart. Dry sense of humor. Completely uninterested in firehouse politics. We dated slowly. When I told Dana I planned to introduce Elena to Lucy, she asked 3 questions. How long have you been serious? 7 months. Does Lucy know about her? Yes. Does Elena understand co-parenting comes first? Yes. Dana nodded. Okay. No interrogation. No control. Later, she texted. I'm glad you told me before Lucy did. I replied. Same standard both ways. She answered. Agreed. That one word would have been impossible during our marriage. Agreed. Not approved. Not ordered. Not handled. Agreed. 5 years after Lakeview, the department built a new command training center. One classroom was dedicated to incident decision-making under personal conflict. The city asked Dana to speak at the opening. She almost declined. Then agreed on one condition. No hero story. Marisol asked what she meant. Dana said. I don't want the lesson to be that Ethan was right because he was the father. Good. The lesson was larger than that. Dana stood at the front of the classroom while new captains and lieutenants filled the seats. I sat in the back. She knew I was there. We did not acknowledge each other. Her presentation included the full Lakeview timeline. Anonymous victim labels first. Only later did she reveal the relationships. She asked the room. When do you think the command decision became compromised? Hands went up. Some said when Ryan approached command. Some said when she held Rescue 4. Some said when she used Mason's name in the order. Dana shook her head. Earlier. She showed the text. Please don't let Ethan make this about Lucy. Then her reply. I know. I'll make sure command stays objective. This is where I should have transferred tactical responsibility. Someone asked. Because you already knew both children personally? No. Dana pointed at the message. Because I had accepted a personal framing of the tactical problem. That was sharp. She continued. From that moment, I was no longer asking only which rescue sequence gave both children the best chance. I was asking how my choice would look to people whose opinions mattered to me. Then came the sentence I remembered afterward. Once you start commanding for the audience, you are no longer commanding the incident. Nobody moved. She finished with the report. Not my name. Just the safety report. One firefighter documented the sequence and requested review. A slide appeared. Report is not equal to verdict. Dana said. The report did not remove me. Next slide. Review is not equal to retaliation. The review did not remove me. Final slide. Pattern plus evidence plus loss of trust equals consequence. My decisions removed me. That was the cleanest version of the story anyone ever gave. Afterward, I waited outside. Dana came out carrying a laptop bag. You stayed. Good presentation. Too much. No. She looked toward the classroom. I used to think if I told the whole story, people would only remember the failure. And now? I think hiding it would make the failure useless. That sounded like Dana. Not the chief I divorced. The person she had become after the title was gone. She asked. Do you ever wish you hadn't filed it? No. Not because I wanted her career ended. Because I knew what would have happened otherwise. My suspension might have remained. Her command decision might have been defended as discipline. The procurement conflicts might never have been reviewed. My promotion interference might never have surfaced. Ryan might have stayed embedded inside departmental decisions. Dana might have learned that rank could turn fear into policy as long as nobody forced a record. No, I repeated. She nodded. I'm glad. You weren't then. I hated you for about 6 weeks. Only 6. Fine. 3 months. I smiled. She did too. Then she looked toward the parking lot. Lucy wants both of us at dinner Friday. For what? She made honor roll. She didn't tell me. She said she wanted to surprise you. That ruins it. I know. We started toward separate cars. At the curb, Dana stopped. Ethan. Yeah? I'm glad you got her first. 5 years earlier, that sentence would have broken me. Now it simply felt true. So am I. She asked me recently whether I still think you were biased. What did you say? That of course you were. I raised an eyebrow. Dana smiled. You were her father. Fair. But the rescue decision was still right. That was better. Bias exists. Professionalism is not pretending you have none. It is building enough structure around decisions that bias does not get to rewrite reality. Dana learned it. So did I. We said goodbye and left. That night, I found the original safety report in an old digital archive. 1 page. Facts. Times. Victim conditions. Command sequence. No demand that Dana be fired. No prediction that our marriage would end. No mention of the apartment. No nonprofit contract. No promotion interference. Just one request. Review whether personal victim identity influenced tactical prioritization contrary to department rescue and incident command standards. That was all. One report. People would always shorten the story. My fire chief wife suspended me for saving our daughter before her ex's son. One report ended her career. Good headline. Not quite the truth. The report did not end her career. It opened a door. Evidence walked through it. Dana's choices did the rest. And even then, her life did not end. She lost command. I lost the marriage. Ryan lost his influence. Lucy lost some innocence far too young. But years later, all of us were still here. Working. Parenting. Learning. Choosing differently. That was the part headlines usually leave out. Accountability is not destruction. Sometimes it is simply the moment a person can no longer use power to avoid seeing what they did. Dana saw it. Eventually. So did I. And the night I finally archived the report for good, I realized I no longer thought of it as the document that ended her career. It was the document that forced the truth to have a career of its own. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe and support us.